All right, guys, we're a big bundle of chaos today. This is the episode 0 for Generic Fantasy Adventure, a D&D 5e actual play. There's no overlay yet, and I assure you, when you see the overlay, it will not be very much more impressive than this. I am putting in as little production effort into Generic Fantasy Adventure as possible. I could lie to you and say it's thematic, but I just want to play a D&D game on Sunday night. I want to preface this by saying how this adventure came about. I posted a tweet saying something like, "I've been watching Stranger Things seasons 3 and 4, and my main man Will the Wise is just constantly asking people if they're ready to play D&D yet. No one ever is, because life is cruel and that's the way it goes." I was memeing. I posted something about playing D&D. A lot of people liked it. Lauren was one of the first people to like it, so I reached out and said, "Hey, you want to play D&D?" We went back and forth, and I recruited more and more people, and now here we are. We've got a full party of 4. This episode 0 is to make sure that we are all on the same page, that everybody here likes each other, and that we can stand each other for a set of episodes, probably at least 10, but not more than 20 without checking in with everybody. You know, 6 months is a long time to be locked into an engagement together. We're going to keep it casual. We're going to keep it light. No long-term contracts. Nobody here is getting paid, except, I guess, my advertising revenue on YouTube. And unless this is the greatest series I have ever made, I am also probably not what one would call getting paid. I think that it will be unlikely that the advertising revenue will recoup what I spend on the artwork for this anytime soon. That's what Patreon's for. We've got the idea of going on a generic fantasy adventure, swords and sorcery, what D&D was born out of. D&D's gone a lot of ways since its inception, and there are a lot of places we could go with it. We're not going to those places. We're going back to basics. There are dungeons. There are places around the world where there are trouble that needs heroes, and we have heroes. And this isn't going to be the typical Arthur Perkins trick where I'm like, well, the heroes are actually the villains. I'm also not going to bait you into becoming the villains, which occasionally I also do that. No twists in that regard. I think that as a top level outline of what we're doing here, let's introduce ourselves to each other. Then we'll talk about our experiences in gaming, what we might want out of this campaign, and assemble something from you to me that looks like a teaser trailer. If this was a movie, what are the big scenes that you want to see out of it? And then if we make it to that point, we will then start making characters. So while this is episode 0, it might not be the only episode 0. That said, again, only if all of the check marks go down. Next week, James and I are going to be with Gymtopia doing Escape Room Simulator. I think Lauren, 1 week after that, has a commitment, so it won't be for 3 weeks from the day we start to do this that we can sit down and do a first episode, right? Am I right about that? We can't do the 28th?
We can't do the 28th, and we can't do the 4th.
Can't do the 4th, so
totally different time zone.
So the first time would be the 11th? September 11th?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be between now and the end of time.
Oh, sorry, you got something?
I won't be in town on the 11th.
Okay. This is exactly what I expect out of a gaming group.
Classic D&D.
The 18th. How are we looking for the 18th, Brage?
I'm good for the 18th.
Yeah.
So my birthday is the 13th, so I won't even be in town for the
Okay. Could be a while before we get together.
D&D yet?
Well,
right. We'll see you guys next year.
We'll see if we can get our stride after that point. You know, it's rough. Well,
it's not like the holidays are coming up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but we'll have 2 or 3 months to build up before Christmas, which is when the real madness breaks out. And if people like us, they'll wait.
Come out?
It's a great question. Not anytime soon, though, right? Isn't it like a year away?
I know, because that was a joke. Is that they want to end on a cliffhanger, and you can't watch the sequel until the entire audience agrees on a date they can go and see the same movie.
It's March 3rd, 2023, so it's not going to be for a while. let's introduce ourselves. I'm, of course, Arthur Perkins, also known as AP Gaming Real, known more commonly by my nickname AP, which is also my initials. I'm a retired Twitch streamer, a YouTuber. I do tabletop RPG content. I also do some VTubing that I'm expanding, and wargaming. I've made a lot of BattleTech. I've made an insane amount of BattleTech. I've made more BattleTech than I think anyone that doesn't work for Catalyst has made of BattleTech. Let's go clockwise by my estimation, which will not be the same as you. Neo Buzzard, who are you?
Oh God. I'm Neo Buzzard. You guys can find me on AP's Discord. I'm usually hanging around, lurking, reading everyone's stuff. If you guys have seen his BattleTech shows, I've painted minis with a Vendo seal. Used to do minis on commission. Not really doing that right now, but feel free to hit me up and see if I got any spots open for you.
You will probably not be the only commissionable person on this show. I have that feeling. And I wish the clockwise, well, I could just hold on a sec. You know, speaking of someone you could commission, Bearded Jalopno, how are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, my commissions technically aren't open right now because I'm working on a project, but but if you'd like, you can always DM me. I'm in EP's Discord, and I stream as well when my full-time job allows me to. So just throw me whatever you got, and I'll see what I can do. I technically like to do fantasy RPG stuff, but I'm open to anything. Character designs, landscape stuff, whatever.
You made your character. You came with a pre-designed character for this, so yeah.
That's pretty much the first thing I do whenever I play D&D. It helps me visualize the backstory.
Oh, it should be mentioned, you've been on one of my shows before, on the tabletop, where we had artists playing D&D and drawing stuff while playing it.
Yes. Good times.
I actually don't know why I swapped Lauren and Bearded, because Lauren is also a commissionable artist. And I don't know how I could have forgotten that, since she made a purse for my mom and a potion bag that is now her go-to documents case. And I feel like there might have been something else, but that's just what I have off the top of my head. Lauren Danger, who are you?
Three things.
I also think there were three things.
Yeah.
I just can't remember the third one.
I don't keep track of it. Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a sword fight instructor. I mean...
Yeah, you have a lot of swords.
Yeah, I have a lot of swords.
The audience doesn't need to zoom in to see those swords. There's a lot of swords.
Yes, just a lot of swords. And I'm a very much old school role player. I like the dungeons. I like the hero work. I like all those little things. So, yeah. I don't know. What else am I supposed to say?
No, that's fine. That's good. Grimdark James, we can't commission you for anything unless...
I'm not commissionable. No.
Yeah, I was going to say, unless you needed CEO contracting advice, you know?
I mean, you never know.
His rates, I assume, are quite high.
So I'm James, also known as Grimdark James. I'm a podcaster, writer, as Arthur said, a C-suite executive in my day life. I started with D&D in 1986, and I've done a lot of gaming that's behind me since then, including writing, and have done one or two shows with AP in the past, would you say? Or maybe 5 or 6. I've been a little prolific on our channel recently. I feel sorry for him having to spend so much time with me. And I guess as an icebreaker, just to for Lauren's benefit, I'm a former theatrical armorer and theatrical fight choreographer as well. So
ask him about his Bond experience.
Tell me about your Bond experience.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So I worked on Bond 20, which was Die Another Day. So I equipped all the firearms onto the Jaguar XKR the villain used in that film. So yeah, got some nice photographs of that from back in the day. I didn't do a lot of it. Most of what I've done is Australian television, but I have done a few international films. So yeah.
We've all played Dungeons and Dragons before, and I think we've all played 5e before, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, so we don't need an explanation about what a role-playing game is. And if you're an audience member, and you're watching this and you don't know what a role-playing game is, I strongly suggest you get the 5e open rules and read the excerpt for what they believe it is, or watch any number of videos that might explain what it is. We're not going to recover that ground. That ground has been recovered so many times. It looks like the territory between France and Germany. Let's talk about what we want out of this campaign. We have this loose idea: swords and sorceries, kidnappings, villagers in trouble, heroes, not just adventurers, but heroes who come to the rescue. The good guys, and not the good guys with quotation marks, like actual the good guys.
Not Will Ferrell.
Please, God, no. And not just be also clear, not nice guys, good guys. Good folk. Do we have anything more than that we want to see out of this campaign? And by the counterpoint, do we have things we don't want to see? Things that absolutely shouldn't be in there? Number one on shouldn't be in there has already been removed. Spelljammery, space laser sword stuff. Not going to be here. Absolutely not. It should be noted, though, if you are looking for Spelljammer content, I have a campaign starting soon that will be Spelljammer. So,
magical airship, cool.
Okay, magical airship is cool.
Somehow breathing in outer space without.
I'm down for magical ships.
Right.
It's a fantasy campaign. We don't want to read physics comments in the YouTube comments.
Oh boy, we do not. I tried doing that last night with James. I was like, how can I ground these wires with a box full of tools and a parka? I can't. Let's shoot it.
That's right. I was doing some character research for ideas for this game, and I came across a very loud argument over how light works and how D&D gets light wrong.
Okay. I mean, we barely understand how light works in actuality.
Yeah.
For the folks at home, why is the speed of light the speed limit? Why? Why is it time the speed limit? Why is it time the unmutable one? Why? All right. My head is already hurting thinking about it. Any other specifics we want to allow or disallow? I'm just going to throw some out here, some amusing ones that I've had disallowed before. Feasts. Spiders. Listen, people were okay with the spiders, but you were confused by the feasts? Some people just don't like graphic descriptions of eating food while playing D&D. I think that's weird that they don't like it, because for me, the traditional fantasy novel involves people talking deeply about amazing tavern food. It makes me want to go, God damn it, Redwall.
There's also a whole spell just for that. It's called Hero's Feast.
It's not the only one. It's the best one, though.
Okay, so to touch on feasts, I at one point was going to specifically say that my character eats his lunch the way Denethor was eating his tomatoes.
The steward of Gondor.
And everything.
Yep. Just making love to the tomato as you eat it.
You and I have very different definitions of making love, I guess.
I can't think of a better way to describe the way he was eating those tomatoes.
That was certainly a way. It was a way. All right, let's let some ideas percolate here since no one's jumping out at it. Let's talk about the characters then and potential ideas. Not James. Audience, I'm saying that because James has 6 character ideas.
I'm defining. It's okay.
It's down to 5.
Almost.
Is anyone set on a character, something that they want to play so strongly they're not moving off of it? Okay, Bearded, why don't you
already drew it?
Yeah, well, of course. Introduce myself and the cast and the audience to the top level.
Gotcha. So Tanira is a tiefling monk. She's traveled many miles from her homeland to wherever we currently are. She likes to travel and be on her own, but is looking for a party at the moment to kind of get past an area that she's, I don't know, just converse with people. I guess she's tired of being alone at the moment.
I mean, loneliness is a powerful motivator.
Mm-hmm.
It would also help if I could spell loneliness correctly. Thank you, Google Documents.
Lioness.
Andrew,
Yes.
what do you got?
So my character idea is I'm going to make a dwarf fighter named Godric Deepbottom. The name is I'm still deciding on the name.
That's the perfect name.
So eventually, whenever we make it to level 3, my plan is to make him an Echo Knight, but his Echo isn't like an alternate timeline version of himself that like they imply the Echo Knight to be. Instead, it's visions of his ancestors that keep like visiting him and manifesting around him. And up until he's able to manifest the Echo, his like home where he was a miner, like they thought of him as being crazy or a nut job, until they started seeing him like when he would get into like bar fights, he would perform like dwarven martial art techniques that had been lost for like centuries. And they're like, well, maybe he's onto something. So the older dwarves started thinking he was crazy, or started thinking of him as kind of like a prophet, up until one night the barroom fight got too serious and he killed a man, and he was exiled from his community. And after that, he's just kind of been wandering around and doing odd jobs as a mercenary or a sword for hire.
Are you looking for a redemption, Godric?
I don't think he's looking necessarily for redemption. I think he's looking more for just understanding of what's happening to him and why it's happening to him.
But you don't seek to undo what you've done with your clan.
No.
I mean, you killed a kin, right?
I don't know if I'd say it's from the same direct family, like a cousin or something.
Okay, all right. Not gonna put king killer down here then.
Yeah, I think he's at a point where he's kind of made peace with it. I've been working on this idea that he's going to try to express himself through cooking. And so like, it's just some weird hobby he picked up and he just found it like, it's like his therapy. And so he, unfortunately, if we're ever making camp, he's going to try to subject everybody to whatever he made, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, but is he a good cook? Is the question.
Well, we'll have to find out.
Does he have a good survival?
Definitely in.
Yeah.
Maybe not feast. He'll definitely be the camp cook.
Oh, Godric Deepbottom. You bring up an interesting point, something that we should talk about. Level.
Mm-hmm.
That is a framework for this campaign. Now, I've offered you 2 general choices, but of course we can go anywhere we need to on that level scale. I think level 2 is really interesting because it's unlikely that you'll die from a regular goblin, but it gives you a little bit of time to build up a character before you're forced to make, for most classes, their level 3 pivotal choice that then redefines their entire character forever. So I think there's one class that at level 2 you pick your specialty, but for most classes it's level 3 and your powers really explode from that point out. Of course, we can always start at level 3. At a slightly slid up on the power scale, level 5 to 7 is also its own kind of category. You would be very seasoned adventurers, known heroes, players at a national scale at that point. People would call upon you to do tasks for them at that point. You would no longer be working for exposure.
I have some questions and potentially comments to that effect as well.
Sure, please.
So first up, personally, I like starting lower. Like if I'm not happy to go with what the group consensus here, but if the choice was 2 to 3 or 5 to 7, I'd be saying 2 and also 2 to 3 and with a lean towards 2 specifically. And you touched on the fact that with most subclasses they kick in at level 3, and I guess this question relates to, for example, Neo Buzzard's concept, or one of the ones I'm tossing up. If we know the subclass that we wanted to go to at 3 and we started at 2, can we still foreshadow that? Like, can Neo Buzzard still have elements of the Echo that don't have a mechanical benefit, but simply, it's not just a case of the character is one thing and suddenly becomes something else. So, and in my case, one of the things I considered was the Drake Warden class, which gets a small Drake, whether you can start at level 2 with like a tiny Drake, which does nothing except for be a foreshadowing of what that character becomes mechanic later on. That's just an example.
I mean, this is the classic D&D dilemma of people who wake up one morning and then they just go, wow, suddenly I can attack 5 times, right? Like, it's weird that they've overnight become better. I've liked foreshadowing things. Not all of my characters it works out. I don't know that Nero the Blade is really kind of peaked at character creation, and you don't really get very much else after that. But yeah, like if you definitely know where you want to go, we could start foreshadowing like ancestors appearing at the edges of fire. Once you're done cooking, somebody's doing the dishes and everyone turns, but then by the time your eyes focus, there's no one there, sort of thing. Godric, practicing martial arts and there's someone beside him doing the same poses but better.
That's the idea of how he figured out how to fight.
I would be very interested in that, but let's keep this level discussion going. What do we got?
I was going to say, let me posit this idea. I'm sorry, Lauren. Did you want?
No, go ahead. Finish your thought. Mike can wait.
So this is, I'll say, the first time in maybe a year and a half I've gotten to be a player. I'm normally the forever DM, and what I always do at my table is I allow my players to start out at level 3, and then the first 2 actual game sessions, if during that time period they decide they want to change anything about their character, class, race, subclass, whatever, we just accept that that's how it's always been, and we just move on. Because I never wanted anyone to get stuck picking like a subclass and then finding out I don't want to be
Thief is terrible.
Blade Song Wizard. I want to be a knowledge cleric. Hinting towards the game I'm running now.
Okay.
So that's just an idea. I'm actually all for starting out at level 2, but it's just an idea I figured I'd feed to the group.
I thought if we start one adventure at level 2, knowing that we'd automatically be 3 at the end, then we can do our foreshadowing. We can have our characters kind of mesh together as a team that way. So we kind of we know exactly when that transition is going to happen, rather than, did we get enough experience this time?
Yeah.
We know.
I'm strongly leaning toward milestone over XP.
Yeah. That's usually how I like to run it. And I'm actually down for Lauren's idea. If we could be 3 at the end of the first session, I'm super down, because usually I like to start at 3. But if I know that I'm going to get there by the end of the session, then I'm super down for that.
It sounds like we're all
like halfway through a dungeon crawl and
whatever. Take a rest. And then
I mean, just to lean back on Bond, it I don't want to say always now. It almost always starts with Bond in a completely unrelated mission that almost always has no ties to the rest. Can't be really specific here
because in media res.
It starts with a mission that is usually not related to the rest of the movie, and then the post Bond opening scene will then transition to, all right, Bond, it's me, Q, I'm British, let's do a mission or something, go see M. There's the Dame Judi Dench in most of the good ones, I think. We'll start level 2 with an eye on ending at level 3 by the end of the first session.
I think the other good thing is because none of us have played together before, it gives us a chance to get comfortable with each other. At the same time, our characters get comfortable with each other as well, rather than having characters that supposedly have long-standing history with each other, but we're still finding our own way as a group.
You know, James, I've always wanted to do. We're actually related. My character and I, or sorry, my character and your character are brothers or uncles or something. I've never been able to pull it off. You really do have to find a good group to do that with. You can't just be somebody you met for the first time tonight. Lauren, I think you had. I don't know if you had as fleshed out an idea for a character yet, but I know you have an idea.
Well, yes. And at the same time, I'm trying not to rebuild a character I've played before, because you should always try and do something new and maybe go outside of your comfort zone. So I figured if I played a bard, but more College of Lore, more spell casting, more flash and panache, rather than, a fighting bard. Because I think we have a lot. I usually don't play spellcasters, so it would be really good to play one.
I told somebody who was in this game, Big Spoon, and he said, "Oh, Lauren's playing a character from Eric Vulgaris' campaign." I was like, "What campaign was that? I don't remember any of this." So I guess this is related to what you're saying, right? You don't want to play a spell fighter bard.
Well, I will explain briefly, as briefly as I can. So Eric did a West Marches thing, not streamed, and I played a character called B Naturalis. B was based on Mr. B Natural, which is from a short that was riffed on an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Boisterous, positive, optimistic, confrontational, wore blue. And it was a lot of fun, but it was a spear-wielding minstrel character with a lot of battle cries and, be the heroes. And I want to be a little different. So I was thinking of a curious elf who, maybe slightly distracted, isn't really fearful, always wants knowledge, but I don't want to, and I definitely don't want to play a sword fighter. Cameras.
No sword fighting at all. Well, there goes my red mage idea.
A little bit of sword work is fine, but I think some spell casting and so.
The thing about being an elf is you get longsword proficiency.
Yes.
Just for being born an elf, you're that blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Must be nice.
To be good at sword fighting?
Yeah, just
I don't know about that.
Damn.
I mean, listen, then when your 3,000-year-old lord calls you to fight the ancient orcs coming out of the cursed lands, you can't really just be like, yeah, but I don't really know how to fight. Like, you're really obligated to stand by the free armies of men, elves, dwarves, and eagles. Like, you can't really back away from that.
True.
All right, James, hit me with some roulette wheel here.
Look, so I have narrowed it down, despite the not to one certainly, but I guess I wanted to sort of see where the rest of the group was, because so they had a few ideas it would work in with trying to fill gaps in the group, for example. So the three ideas that I'm most reduced to is, as I mentioned before, the concept of a Drake Warden Ranger, which probably doesn't fill as many gaps in the group because it doesn't really cover off any sort of, well, I suppose it's got a little bit of divine casting, but it's not really, a healer or anything like that. But I think that would probably be one of the more fun concepts, only because it's a sort of a, like, personality-wise, a more of a fun character, and plus you've got the added benefit of the cute factor of a small dragon in the group, effectively.
Are you playing the dragon, or am I?
Well, I figured I would control it in combat, but I figured that you would, because they're intelligent. So
yes,
it's an NPC.
I just want to know whether I got to be like.
They do speak Draconic.
I've played. Oh, okay, all right. Well, I mean, I've played a cabin before, so I've gone places.
You played a cat in my games, so
it's got loads of experience.
I wouldn't. I played a panther in your game. Let's be really clear here.
there was a
Fleet of
whole fun
cat.
running sequence of you going through solving problems that no one else knew about.
Yeah.
Secretly saving the day.
That's just how I live my life, though.
The second one was the Twilight Cleric, which is probably the most group gap filling because it covers off, like, I guess the divine magic and the healing, etc. And I think the only thing there is that I didn't realize this before I put up my choice list, but a lot of traits of the Twilight Cleric are considered a bit broken. So, you know, making sure that that's not abused. And then the last one would be a Druid, sort of prevaricating between Circle of the Moon or Circle of the Stars, because I like the shape-changing element of the Druid, and that both of those circles lead into that to differing methods. But I guess, I mean, Circle of the Stars also covers off some decent casting as well. But as I said, I can easily come up with personality constructs around these characters. I've still focused on the mechanical benefit it provides to the group and the group dynamic as well at the moment.
Well, what do you want, James? Look into your heart. Speak your
As I
truth.
said, I think the most fun would be the Drake Warden. It's not the most mechanically advantageous, but I think it would be a fun character to do. I never played halflings before, and I've done it as a halfling. So,
You know, I saw something recently that really spoke to me after almost 15 years of playing D&D and Pathfinder and having run like 8 years of Pathfinder Society, 5 sessions a week. I don't know if you need to be the most mechanically strong party, because if I wanted to kill you, I could just be like, all right, Vecnick, Pierce, you all die. Roxfall, you all die. Like, there was a time once where 12 dwarves and a halfling thief could go out into the woods, and the party leader just wanders off and I guess gets in a wizard prison by a... I don't remember what the Hobbit rewrite was. I guess Sauron was a lich or something at the time. Anyway, you get the idea. Once there were 12 dwarven fighters with very little variation between them but their names, but they still ended up pretty odd. You could make a case for the old guy being a bard, because he told a pretty fucking good story. I could follow that one. That was my prince.
I mean, when I run D&D, my initial preamble to any new group is to say, I don't care if you want to make 4 wizards. I just won't put in massive strength challenges into the storyline. It'll be a storyline built around 4 wizards. So it comes to whether the GM wants to do that as well, or whether you have a pre-written concept you want to follow.
Well, tell me a little bit more about your Drake Warden, if you have. It sounds like you don't have anything yet.
No. So I think what I put down was that it would be well, I had Outlander background, so someone who's probably either come across like an abandoned egg or something and has adopted this. But as I said, if it's level 2, tiny, non-stat relevant Drake, and is trying to train it, and has basically ended up coming into the rest of the world, as in, like, you know, starting adventuring, coming into town, etc., because of a desire to explore now with what's effectively a puppy, you know, socialize and find new experiences. So it's a sort of like, you know, it's a bit of a I'm trying to avoid thinking of a halfling or gnome without instantly evoking Stanley Shorthaul.
There were many halflings before Scanlan Shorthalt.
Exactly,
so many.
Yeah, almost more. I don't know if you've read the Dragonlance series, but
I have not.
What's the Kenda from Dragonlance?
Please, no, not them.
I forgot the name now, but yeah, more of, I mean, almost roguelike, despite being a sort of mischievous, that sort of character concept.
Well, I like that concept, because for the curious elf, it's like, oh, I'm going to write a book about this. I'm going to follow you around. We're going to be friends, and I'm going to find out more about you raising this drake, and I'm going to write a book about it.
Wow.
I like it because I can slip scraps to the drake while I cook.
This drake really having its whole life live tweeted from birth.
Tasselhot Burfoot was the name. It was the character I was trying to think of.
I have heard the name Hasselhoff before. I don't know anything about it though. I guess I'll have to look it up. Hasselhoff.
I've heard the name Hasselhoff before.
Yeah, everyone's heard the
totally
name.
different.
Let's talk about scenes that you want to see. Assemble me a trailer. What epic stuff do you want to do? What epic stuff do you want to have done to you? What kind of sweeping vistas are you getting? What's our effects budget like here? You know, I've seen a lot of D&D movies. I've seen all 3 D&D movies, and I've seen the trailer for the new D&D movie. Some of them have been more green screened well than others. Like, are we a low budget student film sort of deal, or are we talking like purple CGI miasma magic, or are we looking at the new D&D movie where magic's like some dope shit? Because we're doing classic adventuring. I'm wondering if we're going back to like 80s description. Because
Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet? That's what we're... I don't know if that matches this group, but all right.
It's like still hand-drawn animation, but they try to put some 3D in there.
Oh, we're okay. All right, now I understand. All right, you mean that's all right?
Yeah, that's the trailer.
Okay,
Not
all
that
right. I'm gonna have to rewatch Treasure Planet. That's all there is to it. Oh no!
Oh no!
I had a revelation. I had a thought after yesterday's game, Arthur, as well, because you said that you don't like horror, for example, and I figure, based on my experience playing horror, I know I'm not trying to. I'm not besmirching you. I'm just saying my observation of running horror for you yesterday was that you're the classic example of somebody who doesn't want to do the classic horror trope of we walk into this dark thing, even though we know that a sane person would say, no, I'd actually just turn around and leave at this point. That you want to play a more realistic character who is not going to fall into those tropes.
But I did the opposite of that. I ran headlong into your tricks,
and it made you uncomfortable. I could tell.
I don't find a lot of horror to be horrifying. A lot of people are like, "Oh, there's a tentacle monster," and people are like, "Oh my god, it's so scary," and I'm like, I don't know, just shoot it, man. It's got organs. It'll die.
Getting back to the point here is that the classic, as you say, the 80s style, classic D&D is all about, heroes and adventure and characters throwing themselves headlong into what would appear to be impossible dangers, as opposed to playing a game where you're a more pragmatic group, which is like, wow, this is we can't take on a dragon yet. We're going to have to leave this for other people to deal with.
I mean, that is one of the classic D&D adventures, though. Was, you have to face a dragon, and at the beginning, there's no way you can possibly face a dragon, and the adventure is leveling up enough to face the dragon. That's the whole module. They don't make it like that anymore.
I ran Curse of Strahd last night, and my group got all the way to the BBEG of the adventure and decided, this person's too hard. We're going to go away and do something else now and come back later when we're stronger.
That's pretty rough. I don't know that you can really get away from.
And then they all died.
Yeah, that's pretty much how things go down in that particular neck of the Dimension of Dread. So we're thinking rush headlong into danger, epic narration. We're going for some world-spanning adventures of heroism, but we start off small. Somebody needs to be saved, and these 4 heroes come together as a result. An unlikely meeting, perhaps, and not in a tavern. Okay. Interesting. Is there especially if we have someone that's almost ranger like, is there a enemy type that you want to be, if not the end game nemesis, like the initial villain? Some people are like, let's face a dragon, and some people are like, oh, I want a lich, and some people are like, I just want the king is actually evil. He has been aiming for war with another country, and so he kidnaps his own bride and tries to put her to death and blame the other country. and there's some pirates involved, and there's like a really big dude who's like a giant. I am vaguely describing Princess Bride's plot, but in the end, that really was the big bad evil guy, was the prince, who is not a traditional D&D villain in terms of stats, right? He's very mortal and killable and proves it in the end, but he is great at marshaling the forces of semi-competent evil to his command. But I don't remember who that count is in the basement, but he's really the only competent member of Team Evil, and he just gets it done. What is there a preferred villain type you're looking for? Or I can go grab bag. I got a lot of villains,
I think if we're going for like that traditional like D&D RPG experience, I feel like at some point we have to encounter or fight a dragon. Maybe
dragon somewhere.
Definitely encounter it. Maybe not necessarily fight it. Maybe the plot twist is the dragon is the employer. But
it's a shame that the Dragon Queen's Hall was such a bad adventure, but the Cult of the Dragon is such a good antagonist, because it really can start off with cultists and kobolds, and you can push all the way up to dragonborn warriors, dragons, even a Dracolich, at its extreme. As a sort of a bad guy organization, it does actually quite well in D&D. Oh, puppy.
Maybe our end is the fact that the dragon was gonna eat us.
Okay,
But
you're walking down the road. You meet an old man with 7 canaries. If only some people get that joke, it's because they have read the Fizzban and others have not.
Yep. Maybe the dragon was gonna eat us, but James's Drake pet vouches for us.
Dragon as the ultimate antagonist, or at the very least a starting one. The classic D&D move is that the first big bad guy you encounter was pushed out of another evil ecosphere, and now you have to go deal with the guy who beat him. I think there was a D&D 3.5 adventure where that happened like no less than 4 times over the course of the module. Like it just kept going down, and then it turned out that like the drow that were behind the Thieves Guild were actually being controlled by a dragon, and the dragon was disguised as a prostitute in her own, like she just hung around in her own castle disguised as like the lowest level servant, and then if anybody like hassled her, she came back in her dragon form and just ate them. And that's why people like, she was like, I have the best treated servants in the entire world, nobody messes with them, and everyone was confused as to why she brags about it all the time. Anyway,
It's pretty funny.
it's only been an hour, but I feel like we have a pretty solid start. I mean, we have talked a bunch off camera about this, so I just want to open this up to free not that we haven't been having free discussion. Is everyone good? Are we on board at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, our powers are combining. If you have more ideas to throw out at me here, this is the time. This is the episode 0. If you have things you want out of this campaign, I will do my best to make it happen. People ask me for things, and sometimes it takes 8 to 10 episodes, but I make it happen. And then they go, wow, how'd you do that? And I was like, you would not believe how I had to shuffle the plot to get us here, but we did it.
So I guess this is more of a technical question, but how do people feel about maps and minis, all virtual in that respect, versus theater of the mind?
We're going to be using Foundry, and I got the combat roulette stuff up. I guess I can show you all that. I'm not going to show the audience yet, but it'll take a minute to kick the server back on. So, or is it already on? I did just I guess it's already on. Let's open it up, because I was playing Blades in the Dark with the group before this. So Swords and Sorcery. Oh yeah, I already have a group for you guys. I don't know where to send you this link. I'm gonna put it in Discord. it will take a short bit to load because there are a lot of modules attached to making your experience better. So this, we will make characters on, I don't remember the song. What's the name of the website?
D&D Beyond.
There is a D&D Beyond attachment module for this that will pull your whole character sheet into this game. And I'm going to need to make another person. Who are current players? Lauren Danger, Neo Buzzard. That means Bearded needs to be added. And Grim, Dark, James. No password. All players save and return. Bam, bam, boom. Some of you will already have characters because I did a little setup beforehand, but you should be able to see that there are a lot of things going on the left-hand side of the screen. In the top left, there are characters selectable. There's like a combat initiative tracker. I don't know if you guys can click on those tokens and see control. Maybe you need to have control of them. Is that
actually set the character first?
okay? I will give all players the ability to control the guards so that you can just take a look around and see how that works.
Where are we viewing this?
On Discord, I just sent a link.
I got so many tabs open.
How do I make all of you the owner of this token? Really not letting me do that, huh?
Yeah, the problem is that we have to select a character when we have to claim a character, even though we can all own it. We can look at the character stats, but we can't actually see the character's eyes unless we have picked them from the character list.
Okay. There must be a way to solve this. I think it's going here. And doing some crazy stuff. Where is this it? Oh boy. Am I sharing my screen now? Is this working?
Yeah.
I hardly even know anymore. Are we back on the tabletop again where I don't remember how to do this? So anyway, you can see here when I click on characters, it pops up, let's say, club. Now you see that something has rolled here. It's just pulling their stats right off of D&D Beyond. I roll it. That's horribly unsuccessful. Let's say it was.
First roll of the game.
Yeah,
Yep.
perfect.
It was
I can roll club. We also have here an adult black dragon. I'm gonna check its acrobatic skills. I mean, it's a dragon. That's not the most active.
It's a chocolate
Right.
dragon.
You will be able to do all this. Roll initiative, target combat state. If you go invisible, you can make yourself invisible, make saves. Everything that you've already set up, we're just going to have ready to go for you. So there's no muss, no fuss. No, if you want to manually type out dice, be my guest. But you will have already put in all of the work just to make your character. Why not, revel in that? All right, we've popped back into place.
Nice. If you like, I can help you set up the QoS program, which actually applies damage to the tokens, factors in resistances, vulnerabilities, everything. When you actually do the dice rolls, it applies it automatically.
We'll talk.
Okay, no worries. And you can also revert that, like the GM can just say,
Okay.
Ignore this damage.
I'm always worried about taking that final step that it'll just become a weird version of a video game. Can it handle AoE spells like Fireball? How does it?
Yeah, it can.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll see. I guess James will walk me through it. So we'll make characters on D&D Beyond. I think I pinned a D&D Beyond campaign that I have that's open and empty.
Yeah.
You'll be able to use your books and my books. I think you'll definitely be able to use my books. You may have to make a character and then add it to Swords and Sword. Oh, it's still called Swords and Sorcerers and Lasers. I renamed it while we were still making decisions. How do I edit this campaign to now just be called Generic Fantasy? There we go. Wow, this might just be a really short episode 0 because we came in here with character ideas and we are also not linking backstories together anyway. Oh, Bearded's got started on Tanira here. Wow, all right.
Yep.
Oh, and you got your character icon in there.
Yep.
James, can I load that through?
The icon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you do an import, you can select to include the image.
I'll need to get your permission to do that because you own this artwork. Bearded, are you okay with that being your icon? Okay,
Go
all
for
right. You heard it here, Bearded's future lawyers.
it.
He's already put on D&D Beyond, which I'm pretty sure by the EOLA means that they own it now.
Oh my
Oh, we're
god.
gonna have to ask D&D Beyond.
Yeah, I guess let's just talk for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Man, I had some very hot beef bulgogi before this, and so my air conditioning has not been working for like 3 days, and finally I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it to tomorrow. I'm very sensitive to temperature, so it's like mid 80s outside, so inside it's not great. So I was just like, you know what? I'm an electrical engineer. I have a bachelor's in sciences. I'm sure I can fix this. And I looked up the model number and just reset it, not like factory reset, but just like power off, power on. I didn't even know you could do it with this model. It just looks so weird. And started working again immediately. So everything started cooling down. But I had hot panned this. It's Costco beef bulgogi. So for the folks at home, let's do some feast stuff here. I seared the shit out of it on a really hot pan and moved it around, kept it from sticking and burning, and then I just tried to eat it immediately. I told Lauren, I was like, we got 5 minutes before the stream. I'm shoveling 2 steaming beef bulgogi into my mouth.
You could have said, I need an extra 5 minutes.
Listen, I got there was no need for extra time. That bulgogi is being digested right now. Let's be real clear. All right. The thing about bulgogi is you don't need a lot of it, and you need to make it real quick. You don't want to overcook that meat. It needs a bam bam done.
I was looking forward to Korean barbecue in Korea next month, but COVID has scuttled those plans.
Look at this guy out here. He's out here at night markets. He's reveling in the hottest spices known to man, casually dropped in every dish.
I had ice cream for lunch. It was hot.
Yeah.
I had
that seemed like
brownies.
Shit, look at this guy. He's not even eating he's got him right next to him. He's not even like, I had brownies. He's like, I am
I'm
having
not
brownies.
shoveling that in my mouth. I'm taking my time.
I told Arthur that my wife had her 40th birthday on the weekend, and we catered for 50 people, and 36 turned up. So we bought so much food home. We're going to be leftovers for next week. I think we came up with like 6 pizzas,
That's why I like
meat
to go to Filipino
skewers.
parties. Give you food.
Yeah, I have heard the ancient Michael Reeves, as part of the offline TV group, was like, yeah, I'm bringing my girlfriend Lily along. I'm gonna show her how we do Filipino food, and she's just like, here's a picture of the food, and this is how much his grandmother is stuffing into the back of our car.
You're just not ready. You're never prepared. There's no amount of preparation that you can do to eat that amount of food. Because with Mexicans, it's like, here's all the food. We put it all out. You guys fend for yourself. With Filipinos, it's like, here's this amount of food. And then an hour later, here's this amount of food. And here's this amount of food. And here's this. And we're like, where is this coming from? Nobody's cooking.
It's magical.
Yeah.
The hero's feast.
How many
Oh,
refrigerators
it's not
do you have?
magical. someone worked real hard to make that food. Do not discredit the people in the kitchen.
Last time
I'm just tying it back into earlier conversation.
I wish it was magical.
I came home with 2 grocery bags full of leftovers.
I'm sure there are some web books of D&D cooking we can get for NeoBuzzard to sort of decide what
I have them.
What's on the menu?
Probably.
There's a whole D&D. They're now like 2 major books, including one of my favorite that I tried to make a show out of, but we couldn't keep the cast together. Where it's like you get a whole extra second subclass related to the type of cook you are. Like for bards, you could take the sommelier, or the person who does the introduction to the food, like the guy who does the serving. That was incredible. I wish more people played it, but it is not popular, unfortunately.
Oh, my ADHD might have kicked in. Were we just using the standard stat array?
We haven't talked about that at all. Bearded said he wanted to roll for stats.
I rolled for stats.
Is everybody good with that? What did you do? 46 drop one, or what are we doing there?
46, yeah.
Yeah, that seems pretty standard. I normally do point by array, but if you guys want to roll, let's do it.
I like rolling. I rolled pretty decently.
Your
Looks like it's
ADHD did not
botany
kick in. We
dice, so-
simply hadn't talked about it. It's been so long since I played 5e that I forgot there was something you could do other than stat array. James, what are you thinking about that?
I mean, so I tend to do point by or stat array. Like when I sort of made the characters to try them out, I made them all using stat array.
I'm fine with that as well. Yeah, if you're set there, we're good.
Yeah.
I honestly, even 46 drop one is not going to get you too statistically far from the point by.
Honestly, it'll probably fuck you over more than it helps, but I rolled decently.
Let's take a look at your.
I didn't get any.
You do
like,
not have
sub
really
10 numbers.
12, 16, 12, 14, 14, 12. Yeah, there's nothing that's really breakaway there.
Yeah, it's pretty normal, pretty average. But I've had some rolls in the past where it's like 9, 9, not 6, 10. 11.
Oh, I mean, I'm what people I play Pathfinder with were like, somehow I got 3 18s. It's weird how that happened.
Yeah, it only happens in Pathfinder, unfortunately, from what I hear.
No, people still cheat in 5e. How many of us are old enough to remember when you had to bring your character sheet between games? Like, you had to have been accredited by a game master since level 1. Like, they're like, oh, this is a 9th level game. You have to bring a 9th level character here. And you're like, can I make one? They're like, no, you have to bring a character with you.
I've never actually done that, but I know they do it for competitions and stuff.
Oh, I mean, that's like Pathfinder Society now, but that used to be the standard.
Got it.
Yeah, so the first, before you had Living Greyhawk and Pathfinder Society, the first thing that Wizards ran was Legacy of the Green Region, which was the first like shared campaign. And yeah, you had to get the GM to sign off on every change to your character, and they had to submit it on a website, to actually, so they could all be tracked. But it was just too hard, like too much stuff got missed out, and you'd have people arguing when they got to conventions because they didn't have the right accreditations, even though they'd done what they thought was right. So
Right. I mean, I guess it works a little bit but the amount of people that have gotten into D&D because of 5e, it would be too difficult to track everything.
How do I upload people? Not that anybody's got one that's like fully done, but I forget how to do. I'll just check the.
I just got to level up, I think, and then I'll be done.
Their character.
I've been playing around. I'll probably delete it and restart and make an official version because
we'll have it done. I mean, we've got a month until we.
I'm not worried.
How do I level up?
You got to edit your character. When you go to the class selection, you can drag the Dropbox down to level 2.
2. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, I got key now.
Are you still thinking about doing the barbarian multi-class as well?
Yes, sir. The class kind of ties into her background a little bit. I haven't fully fleshed out her background, but I should in the next couple weeks. I got some ideas.
I need a character name. That's the tough part.
That's the toughest part of D&D.
That
Gotta
sounds
get
like
the
my
right
wife.
name.
Yeah, she's like, she just cannot make any choice about a name.
That's the easiest part for me. But James has been there through my Star Wars character names, so I'm always like, this guy's an Imperial. Here's his name. His name is Venomous Spider Bag. Here's the good guy. His name's Jet Skysword. Bam, nailed it.
Connor.
Connor. Oh my god, Connor. Connor Hughes, everybody. Holy sh.
Do you have any illegal robots? Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm never gonna forget that.
It started with we're gonna outrun the police. That led to we're not sure we're gonna outrun them. Let's stop and let them board us. And then admit to crimes while they're on board. Oh my goodness.
It went
Everything
really, really
derailed.
well. Especially with me not there.
Connor Hughes, everybody. So good. He says he's never going to be a JRPG protagonist, but he is some kind of protagonist. That's for sure. He's got the devil's luck. Oh, this is how you do it. Sorry.
This is how you do.
No, there's a big button that says D&D Beyond where I can import people's character sheet.
Oh.
Yes.
How big?
Pretty. Well, I have a 4K monitor, so it doesn't look that big on the 4K monitor, but on 1920 by 1080, I assume it's pretty big. I mean, it looks like the size of a small Duracell battery, so. I don't know. I feel like we can break here. I don't want to have 4 people looking at their character sheets, just making decisions. You know what I mean?
Makes for boring content. We don't want
I don't know about boring. I just don't want people feeling like they need to simultaneously perform while making decisions, because if there's something I know about D&D players, you may flip through decisions 5 or 6 times in a minute or an hour. While deciding what you want to do with the character. We have some general outlines, but I assume that some hot button issues may be what skills are you good at? Is a classic one.
Acrobatics.
Okay, you're a monk, so that was really a given there.
Tough one, yeah.
Yeah.
What else do I have?
But you get my point, right? Like we don't need the audience to be here. So the final thing I'll say is that it seems like this video will be going to the greater internet, and we'll be back on September the 18th, probably. And when we arrive, we will be from 7 to 10 Eastern on Sunday nights. And because of the way Twitch works now, we will be taking hourly breaks. So at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, we will be taking short breaks of probably 5 to 6 minutes. I know that's new for my channel, but because of the way ads have gotten super intrusive, you have to run a 3-minute roll of ads once an hour. Otherwise, it'll just interrupt you randomly. And then people have no idea what's going on because they have 3 minutes of ads to watch. So we're going to try to space it out. We'll do many shorter breaks rather than one longer break.
I like that. That's good.
That's good.
My only concern is that James will not be able to eat his full lunch in one break because he normally
so right now for me 7 to 10 your time is 9 a.m. to midday Monday
breakfast.
my time.
Doesn't get to eat breakfast.
No, I eat breakfast
That's
first and I have lunch when we're done.
Okay.
I mean, when daylight saving shifts, it'll go to being 11 till 2. but that's fine. I can sort that out too.
Crazy how the world works.
Benefit of being the boss is that I don't need to worry about going to the opposite one if I don't want to. So
I'm excited to play a regular, normal, generic fantasy adventure. Wish I had the technical skills ready to make that happen, but it's not.
Got a month.
Foundry has really made like this whole genre of like the classic D&D, with a group online really, really good. I think it's really a lot of friends that were used to playing around the table and would never have sort of played online have actually found the experience really quite positive thanks to things like Foundry, which have made it really accessible.
Quick shout out to Map Tools for carrying the whole industry for years. Yikes, Map Tools. That's what I could say. I'm glad we moved away from it, but it was a great framework to start with.
You ended up getting that the game I mentioned on Steam, didn't you? The map creator thing, the 3D map creator. I thought you tried it out. The one, and you can
Dungeon Alchemist.
Foundry. So yeah, Dungeon Alchemist. Yeah.
Yeah. I filmed the entirety of.
Oh, that's right. Your tavern game.
Yeah. Broken Cask. I filmed the entirety of Broken Cask in it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
I'll be making some maps for it with that, but also Dungeon Painter and some other things.
Yeah.
That's it, folks. We're fading away. Whoa. Have a good...
That's all, folks.